Good. Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our regular meeting of council for the 3rd of June, 2025. Land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional territory of Indigenous peoples who have been stewards of the land since time immemorial, and as such, we treat the land, its plants, animals, stories, and people with honor and respect. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. My comments for today. So over the last several weeks, myself and/or the town's general manager have attended a number of meetings, presentations, and program launches that have centered around mental health, addiction, and homelessness initiatives aimed at providing services to municipalities within Hastings County, including the town of Bancroft and all of North Hastings. A brief summary of each is as follows. Youth Wellness Hubs Ontario. The goal of this provincial program is to make access to mental health care as easy as possible for young people. Through the diligent work of North Hastings Children's Services, Bancroft has been designated as a hub location. The local program is in its infancy, and we look forward to learning more about the services that will be available to the youth of our region. Heart Hub, which stands for Homeless Addiction and Recovery Hubs. This is another provincial program with funding administered through CMHA, or otherwise known as Canadian Mental Health Association, Hastings, and Prince Edward County, with a number of proposed services, including primary and emergency care, mental health and addiction services, mental health and addiction supportive housing and transitional housing, and social services and employment support. A meeting was recently held with the CEO of CMHA, Hastings and Prince Edward County, to gain an understanding of what services would be available in the north. As the organization is also in its infancy, few details were available, although we did stress the need to be included in any initiatives. And the third one is the Hastings County Homelessness Prevention Program Investment Plan. This report was presented at County Council and highlighted the rapidly increasing homeless population, which has doubled from March 2024 in the county when it was 146 to March 2025, where the number is up to 291. The report identified the need to address homelessness in targeted populations, including youth, single individuals, and those experiencing mental health and substance use challenges. It remains unclear exactly what services will be available in North Hastings, and as a result, I've requested the county hold a public meeting in Bancroft to explain the new strategy that also includes the new warming room. So while we are grateful for any new or expanded efforts to tackle homelessness, mental health, and addiction issues, it appears that many of the aforementioned programs have overlapping and common objectives. We encourage all the organizations involved to collaborate with each other to achieve the best possible outcomes for our residents. Thank you. Item 4, suspension of the procedural bylaw. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby approved the suspension of Section 8.6 of Bylaw 77-2023, being the section describing the deadline for agenda inclusion. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Lawrence, and a seconder, please, on that as well. Councillor McGibbon. All in favor, please. Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft is hereby approved of the open session agenda dated June 3rd, 2025 is amended. Could I, Councillor Miles and Councillor Eastman, all in favor, please? Thank you. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Item 6, public meeting under the Planning Act. As required by the Planning Act, the purpose of the public meeting is to inform the public and hear representation respective of a proposed bylaw for the purpose of rezoning lands within the municipality. Those persons or public bodies provide verbal submissions in respect to the proposed bylaw will be requested to provide their name and address for recording in the minutes. Verbal submissions may be recorded in the minutes and will assist council in making a decision on the proposed bylaw. So be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft does hereby move into public meeting pursuant to the Planning Act for the purpose of hearing support and or objections for rezoning applications within the municipality. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please?
So moved.
Councillor Eastman and Councillor Wiggins. Thank you. Okay, zoning bylaw amendment application 004-2025. Owner applicant FS Alliance Bancroft Inc. The agent is Michelle Cutts of Rudy and Associates. Legal description: parts of lots 1 and 2, concessions 15 and 16, parts of lots 70, 71, and 72, concession WHR, and part of the road allowance between concessions 15 and 16 and concessions WHR, Geograph Township of Faraday, now Town of Bancroft, County of Hastings. The purpose of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment to the Town of Bancroft's Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw number 27-2006 as amended is to amend the special provisions in the aforementioned zones to provide clarification regarding the minimum aggregate side yard 5.4 meter setback provision. The effect of the proposed amendment will allow for the construction of traditional housing models with attached garages while also maintaining the original intent of the site-specific planning provisions. The Planning and Development Coordinator will now present her report, please.
Good afternoon. Through you, Your Worship, an application for a zoning bylaw amendment has been submitted by Rudy and Associates on behalf of the owner FS Alliance Bancroft Inc. to amend the minimum aggregate side yard special provision in the residential type 1 exception 17 zone and the residential type 1 exception 18 zone respectively. The subject property, located north of the Bancroft Ridge Golf Course, received draft plan of subdivision approval on March 25th, 2021 from the Hastings County Council. The approved draft plan of subdivision consists of 105 residential lots, 1 private open space block, 1 private recreational amenity block, 4 stormwater blocks, and 1 road. To facilitate the development, a zoning bylaw amendment was passed by the Council of the Town of Bancroft on May 18th, 2021. The zoning bylaw amendment established a number of exception zones, providing for special provisions within each exception zone. In the residential type 1 exception 17 zone and the residential type 1 exception 18 zone, the minimum interior side yard is 1.2 meters and the minimum aggregate side yard is 5.4 meters. The form of housing proposed at the time of approval did not include garages. Therefore, the minimum aggregate side yard special provision was implemented to provide adequate space for off-street parking and to ensure sufficient access to maintain private septic systems located in the rear yard. Subsequently, the development was sold. The new owner has completed phase 1 of the development, which includes 36 residential lots, and is proposing housing models that are more traditional in style. The proposed housing models are 40 feet wide with attached garages. In addition, the owner is proposing to locate the private septic systems in the front yard. Due to their size, many of the approved lots cannot accommodate the proposed housing models if the minimum aggregate side yard of 5.4 meters is maintained. Therefore, the owner has applied for a zoning bylaw amendment to amend the minimum aggregate side yard to include wording that maintains the intent of the special provision while also allowing for a range of housing models to be constructed on the subject lots. It is proposed that the minimum aggregate side yard special provision be amended to read as follows. That it be 5.4 meters where a dwelling is proposed with no garage and or a private sewage disposal system is proposed in the rear yard. The proposed amendment will allow for the construction of traditional housing models with attached garages while maintaining the original intent of the special provision and provide more flexibility in housing styles to satisfy market demands. The notice of public meeting was circulated as prescribed by the Planning Act. The County of Hastings planning staff have offered no objection to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, and to date, no other written submissions in respect of the amendment have been received. The bylaw to amend the Town of Bancroft's comprehensive zoning bylaw has been drafted with support with County of Hastings Planning and Development Department and is on today's agenda for council's consideration. It is the opinion of staff that the application for zoning bylaw amendment is in conformity with applicable land use policies and is appropriate, desirable, and constitutes good land use planning. Staff recommend that the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application be approved. That concludes my report, Your Worship. The owner's agent is attending virtually if you have any questions or comments for the agent today.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of council? I do not see any, so that's great. Thank you. And you mentioned there was no written or verbal submissions in opposition?
That is correct.
And none in support at this time either.
That is correct.
Okay, great, thank you. So at this time, we'll adjourn from the public meeting. Be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the town of Bancroft is hereby adjourned from the public meeting and reconvene the regular meeting of council. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Miles, Councillor Lawrence, all in favor, please. So planning decision following the public meeting, be it resolved that the council of the town of Bancroft approves zoning bylaw amendment application number 004-2025 to rezone lands legally ascribed parts of lots 1 and 2, concessions 15 and 16, parts of lots 70, 71, and 72, concession WHR, and part of the road allowance between concessions 15 and 16, and concession WHR, Geographic Township of Faraday, now Town of Bancroft, County of Hastings. Could I have a mover and a seconder on that, please? Councillor Mullet, and second by Councillor McGibbon. All in favor, please. So pass. Thank you. Okay. Thanks. Item 10, meetings of standing committees and local boards. Pardon me? Yes, thank you. Item 9, minutes of previous session. Be it resolved that the council of the corporation of town of Bancroft is hereby approve of the minutes of the meeting of council held on May 13, 2025 as presented. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Eastman and Councillor Wiggins, you will second that?
I will.
Thank you. Is there any comments or questions on those? Seeing none, all in favor, please. So pass, thank you. Item 10, minutes of standing committees and local boards. Committee of the whole. We have several resolutions, which we'll deal with one at a time. The first one is be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the town of Bancroft is hereby approve of the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on May 28, 2025 as presented. Could I have a mover and a seconder on that, please? Councillor Mullet, Councillor Eastman. All in favor on that, please? Thank you. Second resolution, be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the town of Bancroft hereby approve option number 3 to complete the work at the Flint Street parking lot. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Miles and Councillor Lawrence. Is there any comments or questions on that? Seeing none, all in favor, please. So pass, thank you. Next one is be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the town of Bancroft adopt the proposed non-eligible source recycling program and associated fees as proposed, and further that the tipping fee schedule for the Dungannon landfill site be amended to add the fees for non-eligible source participants, recyclables, and direct staff to implement the approved changes effective July 1st, 2025. Could I have a mover and a seconder on that, please? Councillor McGibbon. And seconded by Councillor Mullet. Is there any questions, comments on that? Seeing none, all in favor, please. So pass. And last, be it resolved that council of the corporation of the town of Bancroft is hereby adopt the recruitment policy as presented. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Miles and Councillor Eastman. Any comments or questions on that? Seeing none, all in favor, please. Thank you. Item B, the Budget Committee. Be it resolved the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby approve of the minutes of the Budget Committee meeting held on May 20th, 2025 is presented. Councillor Miles, you move that. You chaired that meeting. Thank you. And seconder, please. Could I have a seconder on that, please? Councillor Lawrence. And Councillor Miles, would you like to chat about that, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At our budget committee meeting, the bulk of our meeting was regarding sort of a planned project of the public works situation that we're in. At preceding councils, a variety of them over the years, there has been talk about sort of moving from where our current location is down on Highway 28, using the fire hall that we have in town and the old site down at the Dungannon works. There are a variety of projects that were brought to the table from staff regarding where we are from a capital perspective over the next 4 to 5 years. A report regarding where we sit currently with debt and where we conceivably could end up with some of these projects all coming at the same time or coming to the table. It sort of put some big numbers on the table for council to have to consider when this all comes to the table, totaling up to maybe conceivably up to around 20 million. We have been very fiscally responsible, I would say, over the last couple of years. And really the only big piece of debt we still have left is regarding our wastewater, which is a piece of debt that is serviced by users. So that debt is a little teeny bit different. But when it comes to what these public buildings would mean, it is directly taxpayer responsible debt. The other thing that was brought forward from the report that came to council was the working conditions. Staff presented to council sort of a list of circumstances that don't meet some of the current standards for control after fires, for dealing with equipment, for space for workers, maybe quite frankly for some health and safety circumstances. Once this was notified to council through staff, the budget committee felt that the right thing to do was to we need to pay attention. So it was presented from staff through the budget committee to move forward and hire a company that will inspect all of these buildings. The building that staff is currently working in now, because quite frankly, nothing gets built in a day in this world. We could be looking at having staff work in very unsafe conditions for maybe 2 to 3 years. So that building will be inspected, as will the old fire hall, as will the Dungannon. In the event we move forward with this project, we would like to have a really good, clear understanding of where those buildings stand from a health and safety perspective. And the committee passed a resolution putting any decisions regarding the buildings on hold until those results are presented to staff and to council. I think it's a very big number. One of the other things that occurred at the budget meeting was during council, we were presented with a budget of $4 million for construction. However, our resolution, if you go back and look at the council minutes, our resolution was presented as 6 million. So that was a question that the budget committee brought up. More than one committee brought that up. And we were then presented with the sense, well, actually what was missing from the original amendment or original quote was the labor piece. And so there is now an additional, and I hope I have this number right, somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's an additional 2.2 of labor. So that's where the 6 million came from, even though it's still short of the 6 million. So it puts us at 4 million for construction, 2.2 million for labor, and we have already spent approximately 500,000. That piece has been spent out of reserves and preparation, so that will not be added. But so that puts us at a perspective of debt of somewhere of 6.2 to 7 million, once you consider overruns and what time means and what inflation means. The budget committee didn't make any decisions one way or the other regarding the builds. That will be council's decision. The budget committee will only bring forward recommendations. And the biggest recommendation really at this point was, let's look at this from a health and safety perspective. There was conversation regarding, are we actually looking at every opportunity when it comes to what is currently available to us from the province, which is the buildings on Highway 28? What are other potential circumstances that could happen down in Dungannon? We currently have a tenant there. Is there some future stuff that could be done there? We had a member of the public here who brought up sort of their concerns regarding where this might mean, what the debt means to a ratepayer, what it means to the future of taxes in the town of Bancroft, and also having some concerns about understanding this health and safety piece is a big part of this conversation. So I think we could say that that somebody who is actually here from the public has shown their concern with what this project might mean to the ratepayers. I was only one person, I get that, but I'm just reporting what exactly happened at the meeting. I personally have spent some time thinking through, and we've had Councillor McGibbon rightly brought forward at one of our council meetings that we sort of made a commitment to do some of these buildings. But that was with the understanding that there was always going to be a full budget presented that would give us lots of perspective to do it. So when I hear about a $1.1 million labor piece to do the building, I still feel that there was some misunderstanding right from the start, is how I want to put it, regarding the buildings. I remember staff sort of commenting that maybe there was a way, like, we could do this, put the frames up, and then over time, maybe staff could do some of this work, staff could do some of this construction. So I don't know if that 1.2 million comes with that piece as well, or if this is just a straight on, we're hiring someone to do all of this, and that's what the labor costs are going to be. So I think we're still, from the budget committee's perspective, sort of bringing forward a resolution to council that would say we recommend moving forward with the project. I don't think we're there yet. I think we're still missing a fair amount of information that makes us honestly say this is the right thing for the members of our community who are going to carry the burden of this debt. That's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Just a little update. Yesterday, Andre informed me that they have contracted a company to do this, and I understand it's going to be done reasonably quickly. The assessment, the building's assessments, which includes health and safety issues that were brought forward at that time. And I think I mentioned before, we've also had we've had a request on the table again to the province, and this information will be important as well if when anything ever happens with this building, et cetera. So, Councillor Eastman.
Mr. Mayor, with the recommendations that come forth, are we obligated to act upon them then? Like, for example, if they condemn the building for us, that puts us in sort of a bind type of thing, that if we're
It does, but we feel we're obligated to do this health and safety review based on the information that was presented, and we'll, I guess, have to cross that bridge, when it comes. So they're doing both the building assessment, physical, and also the health and safety part, all wrapped up into one project. So, yeah. Councillor Mullet.
A couple of questions. First of all, the agendas for the other committees, could that go to all of the members of council? Because we may have some interest in whatever that committee may be. And I think as council, we should be able to look at the agenda, and if we've got some issues, we can contact somebody or sit in.
Councillor Miles.
They're there. If you go to your, I think the budget committee thing was here, was it? Yeah, it's in here. Your agenda notes under iCompass, they're in there.
I realize that, but
Okay.
is it not simpler when the clerk sends out the agendas, send them out to everybody, then everybody knows what's going on? The other thing that I had, I was very glad to hear that somebody's looking at it. Whether we get a real true picture, who knows? But that will be done, as you said, that'll be done fairly quickly. Good. And as far as the provincial building is concerned, I don't want to spend any money on that one at all. That's just my feeling, but I think the sooner we get it out, the better. But anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you. One sec here while I get back online. Thank you. Is there any other questions on that? All in favor, please? So passed. Thank you. Okay, item C, Bancroft Business Improvement Area Board of Management. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft has hereby received the minutes of the Bancroft Business Improvement Area Board of Management meeting held on May 12th, 2025 and May 20th, 2025 as presented. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councilor Lawrence, you'll move that, and Councilor McGibbon. I believe I attended the May 12th meeting, and I believe you attended the May 20th meeting. Is that correct?
That's right.
Would you like to, anything you'd like to report from the May 20th meeting?
Sure. In many ways, it was getting to know you kind of meeting. They had meetings with Andra about finances and put together a budget, which they presented to the BBIA at the last meeting. And it balances, so that's good. And I guess there have been some developments, resignation of one board member, and they were trying to get new board members, but as of yet, no movement on that. And they've got great ideas, and as far as rebranding goes, we spent quite a bit of time on rebranding of the BBIA and some examples from Halliburton. And so far, assuming we can get to the 7 board members, I think it's going to go well.
Good, thank you. At the May 12th meeting, the number of board members was brought up because we knew of a resignation coming. So they seemed at that time optimistic that they were going to be able to get 1 or more. So.
Right. They had 2 in line, and I think one of them has rescinded their offer.
Right. Okay. Any questions on that first part of that? Councillor Eastman.
Councilor Lawrence, how does the $75,000 budget relate to other years? Is it comparable? Is it more?
I believe it is comparable. I mean, basically they'll take the levy and then they'll budget based on that. So I think it is in line with previous years.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
I guess there's one question that I had, because this came up at the May 12th meeting. Were they going to prorate that budget because of the fact that we're into halfway through the year, or were they just going to take it and then carry it over?
I heard no talk of prorating, so I'm assuming that they're just going to take the whole amount.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, all in favor, please? Thank you. Okay, part 2, be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft is hereby accept the resignation of Gail Krupa from the Bancroft Business Improvement Area Board of Management effective June 3rd, 2025 with regret, and further that the Bancroft Business Improvement Area Board of Management be given until June 16th, 2025 to nominate a replacement to fill the vacancy. Could I have a mover and a seconder on that, please? Councillor Miles and Councillor Millett. Any questions? We just chatted about that. All in favor, please? Thank you. Pass. What did I miss? Okay, so I did that, which was the resignation. I just did that 16th, which is. I thought we did that at the very beginning. Where? I don't have it. Don't show. Right? We did that one, I thought, too. We did that at the very beginning. Right, that's this one right here, isn't it?
Here, this is a separate resolution right there. This is the one you just did.
I don't have that one on here. I don't have that. I can read it off yours. Let's see. Okay. Okay, we'll do another one here. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation Town of Bancroft has hereby received the Bancroft Business Improvement Area Board Member Resignation Report for information purposes. Could I have a mover and a seconder on that, please? Councillor Lawrence, and seconded by Councillor Miles. All in favor, please. Okay, then let's see if I get it right this time. be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation Town of Bancroft does hereby receive staff report regarding the 2025 Bancroft BIA budget. Could I have a mover and a seconder on that, please? Councillor Lawrence and Councillor McGibbon. All in favor, please. Thank you. And be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby approve of the 2025 Bancroft BIA budget in the amount of $75,000, and further that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby authorize a tax levy in the amount of $75,000 for the Bancroft BIA to be recovered from the members within the BBIA district, and further that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby approve that the appropriate bylaw to approve the 2025 Bancroft BIA tax rate be brought forward for Council's consideration. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please, on that one? Councillor McGibbon, Councillor Lawrence, all in favor of that, please? Thank you. Next, be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby receive staff report regarding amendment to bylaw number 11-2025, and further that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby approved that the appropriate bylaw to approve the amendment to bylaw number 11-2025 be brought forward for Council's consideration. Could I have a mover and a seconder on that, please? Councillor Eastman, and seconded by Councillor Miles. All in favor, please. Thank you. Next, minutes of local boards and joint committees. We have the Eastern Ontario Trails Alliance. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby received the minutes of the Eastern Ontario Trails Alliance meeting held on April 10th, 2025 as presented. Councillor Eastman, you will move that.
I will.
Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor McGibbon. So that's April. I'm sure you've had some meetings then. I know there was a big lag time before we get them, but maybe is there anything you'd like to bring us up to date on with respect to?
Yes, we have. We had a May meeting, and I'll try to get. I don't know why the minutes are so late coming. I'll look into that. In fact, we have a meeting again next week, next Thursday. So again, we're almost 2 months behind, like our presentation. The after the April meeting, of course, was the big thing was there was a lot of damage done from the ice storm, especially up north here. The local clubs were very great and diligent in helping the trail system out. They removed a lot of the debris themselves, which was great. They used the trails they wanted to right away, so that was good. So, but down south there wasn't as much damage. The big thing right now is the single trail permit. That's been a thorn in the side of EOTA with other associations. They've been EOTA has been after that for a number of years now, and other clubs or other districts have been sort of shuffling their feet. The big thing is they do not want to present their financial statements. It is the big thing. But through Rick Breezy, MPP, the ETOA have had it or will have a private member's bill that the government of Ontario should work with all the trail management membership clubs to establish a one permit system for all trails in Ontario. This would be just so much better. It'll streamline members purchasing trail permits. In other words, you don't have to purchase a trail for the ETOA system. And then when you go farther north, purchase theirs. Like Ottawa District, for example, they honor our permit, we honor theirs. But it's so confusing. Like you look at a map and you want to do, like there is people that want to go literally hundreds of kilometers on the trails, to go from point A to point B. And sometimes they don't know what permits they out. And of course, we want to make it streamlined. So hopefully, when government's back in and they can process this, hopefully by maybe this fall, we can have that ready.
I believe that also Minister Piccini was leading an initiative on that as well, and also was former Minister Clark. So there seems to be, through various organizations, one was through OFATV, Mr. Berzes was through. So the objectives are all the same, and it's basically the same system that snowmobiles have, and it's long overdue and happening. So
You're correct, Mayor. And the private members bill was a result of frustration on behalf of EOTA in so much as that they sponsored a meeting with other members, and it got down to just we'll agree on some things that we couldn't agree on others.
Yeah.
It was a stalemate, went on for months, 13 months. So they asked a government official, the department head, to adjudicate it. And it went the same way, like they could just
Yeah.
the other clubs don't want to give. So now
Yeah, I think
hopefully this will help.
I think the feeling for a long time on this, because of course this has come to county council many times, is that it had to be led or promoted by the province. So it looks like that's what's finally happening. So that's good.
They'll
to
be,
hear.
they'll be sold like just like your driver's license, if you sold at the motor vehicle places and everything
Right.
else. So it's
Yeah.
it's going to be a unified system.
Right.
But again, we have to get it approved.
Councillor Wiggins.
Yeah, I'd just like to comment, it's a great system. When I was on the board before, we've been fighting for this for probably 10 years or more. And George is right. Nobody wants to give up their territory. They are clubs as compared to an association. There are many, many hurdles. We did get the government involved back, I'll say 4 years ago, and they will not, at that time, would not step in and adjudicate nothing. They said, you make the agreement and we will honor it, which we've been trying for years to make an agreement. So it kind of died again. I'm glad it's back on the table. It's better for our citizens and all of Ontarians, but good luck and keep pushing.
Good. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? All in favor, please. Thank you. Item 13, business grant update and resolution approvals for new application submission. Be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft has hereby received a grants update report as presented. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor McGibbon and Councillor Mullet. And there's actually a very good chart there that shows all of the various grants that have been applied and either have been approved, declined, or pending. Yeah. So there's been a lot of work done over the last number of years on these, for sure. All in favor of receiving that report, please? Thank you. Second part is be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby direct staff to apply for the Health and Safety Water Stream Municipal Housing Infrastructure Program and complete all associated activities with the application as required. Councillor Miles and seconder by Councillor Eastman. And this one here, I believe, is the result of a meeting that I think Chief Hoover and General Manager Andra Kaufeld had with M&R staff after Chief Hoover had met, I believe, with the minister at Good Roads and his assistant. I was not at the meeting, but maybe Chief Hoover would like to comment on it, but I understand it was very, very well received and the urgency of the situation seemed to be recognized. So Chief Hoover, would you like to add to my comments there, please?
Certainly can, Mr. Mayor. We did have a very productive meeting with our associates from the MNRF, and we were able to kind of work through a process of what the risks and the challenges are, and we were able to come to a consensus that this problem is not going to go away. We need to move forward. We need to come up with solutions, possible funding solutions, sources, and look at all options in regards to moving forward with a change in this operational component with our dam. So it was much more productive than in meetings in the past. So it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. Any questions from anyone? Seeing none, all in favor, please. Thank you. Item B, Bancroft Brewing Company, by the glass manufacturers, limited liquor sales license application to the AGCO. Be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft supports the application made by the Bancroft Brewing Company, 188-5801, Ontario, Inc., located at 59 Hastings Street North, Bancroft, Ontario, for a by the glass manufacturer's limited liquor sales license. And further that the clerk provide written notice to the Bancroft Brewing Company notifying them of council's resolution confirming its support for the application with a copy of such resolution also to be provided. Could I have a mover and a seconder?
So moved.
Councillor Wiggins and Councillor McGibbon. Any comments or questions on that? Seeing none, all in favor, please. Thank you. Okay, just give me one sec here. Okay. Item C, organizational update. Be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft has hereby received the organizational update report for informational purposes only. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please, on that? Councillor Mullet and Councillor Miles. Yeah, so we have a report before us there. From the general manager on it. She does address the library construction, the status of it at the present time. And I think if anybody has gone by there, they can see that the walls are going up. And there's sort of we've already had a groundbreaking on this, but there's another event planned. And I forget what the date on that is. June? Thank you. I thought it was that. Yeah, so that notice has been sent out. We already talked about the dam update and what Chief Hoover has added to my comments right there. So that application was going in there. We also have already chatted about the building audits and reflecting my comments that this particular company has been hired. The playground install, as anybody who is down in neck of the woods can see all the activity going on down on there. So it looks like it's going to be a great facility, and stay tuned for the opening. And staffing updates. Yes. Oh, sorry. Who do we have there? Had their hand up. Chief? Yeah, just shout.
Just a quick update. We did pour the concrete pad this morning, so that pad has been poured and in place. We're waiting for confirmation of June 2nd or June the 9th, sorry, for the commencement of the installation by the Canada Playground people. The actual playground is located currently on town property. It's been delivered already, so we did not place it on the site because we didn't need it carried off all over the downtown. So it's been placed in a secure location close to the site that we'll be able to facilitate movement down there. So we are moving forward. Things are online and moving forward.
Great. It'll be a great addition for down there. Okay, thank you. And the last thing was staffing updates, and then I'll just read it verbatim here. Several members of our summer student team have joined us for the season. Others will follow in mid to late June as they complete their high school studies for the year. Summer students are vital to the health and operation of our municipality in the summer months. Students support road operation, parks, and recreation operations and special events such as the Canada Day and the Jamboree, and please welcome them all. So thank you. All in favor of receiving that report? Thank you. Okay, item 14, business arising from notices of motion. That per the procedural bylaw 77/2023, section 15, a notice of motion may be introduced at a public meeting of council, but shall not be debated. It shall be recorded on the next regular meeting of council with the notation second reading. At the second reading, it may be debated after being moved and seconded. Okay. So we have here second reading for the ad hoc committee of council, and the draft resolution that was brought forward at last meeting was be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the town of Bancroft hereby dissolve all ad hoc committees of council and revert to council and committee of the whole in an effort to streamline decision-making process and to reduce the amount of time for council to make decisions. I'm assuming you'll move that, Councillor McGibbon. And could I have a seconder to put it on the floor for discussion, Councillor Eastman? So I'm going to give you the floor.
So my intention of this notice of motion was to streamline the process, remove red tape, and reduce staff time required to prepare, attend, wrap up, and required follow-up of the meetings. One meeting, and I could be wrong on this, you'll have to fill me in if I'm wrong, but I kind of did a bit of calculating. One meeting essentially requires 1 full day of staff time by our clerk. That includes prepping the agenda, distributing and publishing the agenda, the final minutes of the meeting, as well as any follow-up required from the meeting. Does that sound about accurate? 1.5 hours roughly for setup in here for a meeting, and another, that would be set up as well as tear down of everything required to host the meeting. 2 staff are required at every meeting, which would last 2 to 3 hours. That would be Andrew, our general manager, as well as clerk. Staff reports typically take about 2 hours to prepare, unless there's complexities, then they could take several hours. As well as any departmental staff required to present or to be part of discussions. We've had 8 committee meetings from January to present so far. So when you do the math, we are tying up a lot of staff time as well as process time and preventing time from moving forward quickly. It is a lengthy process that slows everything down, taking much longer for decision making. One example would be, actually, I think I left out a note here. I had some calculations. Sorry, I was prepared.
That's okay. Take your time.
I was very prepared. So, yeah, just a little bit of red tape and other things too, like overlap, for example, with the meetings, like the whole bag tag topic that encompassed Recreation Committee, Finance Administration, as well as Public Works. I try to attend all committee meetings. Even if I do not sit on the committee, I want to hear all the discussions. I want to hear the context of the discussions so that I'm well informed when it comes to the council table or to committee of the whole table. It's important to hear it all and not just the perspective of the committee chair that is presenting it at council. Unfortunately, not everyone is able to come to all the meetings. The agendas for all committee meetings, as well as the dates for the committee meetings, should be sent out to council members so they can have a look at the agenda and attend the meeting. Yes, I know it's an iCompass. However, mine does not work. So I can't receive them that way, but if they could be emailed out, that would be great. So it would be my recommendation to continue with our regular committee of the whole and council meetings. Then 4 times a year, we would have 2 committee of the whole meetings instead of 1. This would replace the committee meetings with, so you could do a cow meeting, committee of the whole, that would be finance, and you could do another committee of the whole that would encompass the public works and recreation. This would reduce staff time as well as provide more ability for council members to attend and be a part of all the discussions for all departments. Reducing 240 hours of staff time down to only 80 hours of staff time would be, that would be if we combine the meetings and did what my recommendation was. That's approximately 160 hours of staff time that can be used in other areas and not tied up in meetings. That would create efficiency, remove red tape, and speed up the process for our decision making. There are my thoughts.
Thank you. Councillor Wiggins.
I appreciate Councillor McGivern bringing these forward. I'm afraid I disagree with her wholeheartedly. There will not be those saving of hours. Your committee and your council meetings, instead of being three hours, will be up to 6 or 7 hours, because at the committee level, you can dig into background, talk about different options, look at many things. You don't have time for that at council or at the committee of the whole. And if we kill these, it's just a shooting the golden egg, I think. And it's very, very important that we have these open discussions with our staff so they know how council feels. We cannot direct them. We do make motions, but they can get a feel of the vibe of what council thinks. And I realize that everybody can't be everywhere, but I fully support the committee system.
So just a little technicality here in your motion. You said ad hoc. I think you meant to say standing.
Yeah, that would be.
Ad hocs are ones that are just established for a particular purpose
Right.
and they disappear.
Yep.
So that should refer to standing
Right.
committees.
Yep.
Okay, just so everybody's clear on that. Other comments? Councillor Miles.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to vote with each hand because I think that there might be opportunities where we could maybe look at maybe there are some committees we don't necessarily need, but I think that as at our last meeting, there was a mention about an HR committee. I think we absolutely have to have that. We have our safety and wellness or well-being. I think that's a requirement. If I think back correctly, I think the budget and the finance is an absolute must. I think those are big conversations that need to occur before we come to a council table for recommendations. I haven't felt that the Parks and Recs Committee was quite useful. So I could see where, maybe they don't all need to be there, but I also, as Deputy Mayor Wiggins has commented, I am a fan of council governance or of committee governance. I think it does allow for deeper conversations at a committee level then to come forward. So I won't support the motion, but I don't completely disagree. And I think maybe we've gone through a period of time where we had committee structure when I first came to the table. Then we had COVID and we got rid of it all because of COVID, because we couldn't meet. So it did streamline meetings on purpose. So we got back to cow. But I think that once we then this year came back to the committee structure, I was quite happy to see that. So maybe maybe there's an opportunity for the mayor and staff to review, okay, what are all the committees we've put together? Which ones work, which ones don't, which ones are a waste, which ones, and sort of see where staff's input could be in regards to their expense and their time. So if I support the motion, it just completely means I do, which I don't. I believe in committee structure. But I can see where you're coming from, that there are maybe some ways we could find some committees we don't have to have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Lawrence.
I am mindful of the amount of time that staff spend, for our benefit, and certainly sympathetic. My main issue, I guess, with the resolution as it is that we need to develop subject matter expertise at the council level. So we need people with, specialties, and it may be that some of these are overlapping, like public works and budget. In my mind, they're intertwined, and it could be that they could be folded one into the other, so we can save some time there. Governance is a difficult topic, and we need as much expertise as we can get. So getting rid of the standing committees and folding it into council, I think that would work against that. So I don't think I'll be supporting it.
So I'm going to put my 2 cents in worth here, and I'm going to use Councillor Miles' two hands thing. So even prior to this hitting the table, I have been having discussions with the general manager about how we could do this better. And I think nothing's been firm. We've been bantering it around because it's not an easy thing. I think what will happen is there'll be some consolidation of committees, and I think there will be some standalones as well. So it's somewhere in between. And to go to Councillor Wiggins' comment, standing committees are pretty common in the municipal world for the purpose of, as Councillor Wiggins pointed out, being able to spend more time and delve into them. And I think what was lost in committee of the whole was there just wasn't enough time, because we had so much coming to one meeting that it wasn't felt it was being addressed thoroughly. So as per our procedural bylaw, the responsibility of committees rests with the mayor, and right now, and we will be doing something. I don't know what that is as of yet, because we keep discussing it to make sure we see if we can get it a little bit better and combine some at this time. So the point's well taken. All the comments are well taken. We'll see if we can come up with something that's a little better that gives us the due diligence where it's required, and in other ones we'll maybe have more several that are put together in the committee of the whole style. So
That's kind of what my point there was, yeah, there are things so that you could combine together to save having so many.
Yeah. So as I say, Andre and I have been chatting about this for well over the last month and a half or so. And, the other thing that, with all the changes in legislation, et cetera, you spin your head trying to keep up with everything right now as well. So we'll do some, and hopefully maybe by September we're off next month, and we'll spend a bit more time to see how this pans out. So, the motion as it stands was to dissolve. It's all ad hoc. I think the intention was standing committees. So Did you have a comment, Councillor? Oh, okay, okay. So all in favor as the motion as it stands? Opposed? Okay, so the motion is defeated, but we will definitely take a look at it. So thank you. Item B, second reading acceptance of waste, I think that should say at Dungannon Waste Disposal Site. Be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft hereby agree that in order to preserve the lifespan of the Dungannon Waste Disposal Site, the Town of Bancroft will not accept any waste from municipalities outside of North Hastings in the future. I'm assuming you'll move that as well. And a seconder, please, Councillor Lawrence. So you have the floor again.
We have been helping one of our small neighboring municipalities by receiving a small amount of waste from their municipality. My mic, I'll start again. Sorry.
Can you put your mic down?
Move it down. Okay.
Thank you.
Our waste disposal site is one of our greatest assets. It's ours to use, it's ours to protect, and it's ours to preserve. We have been helping one of our small neighboring municipalities by receiving a small amount of waste from their municipality into our landfill for a fee, of course. Oh yeah, I've done it again. We have a coveted asset that has approximately 160-year lifespan of it if we manage it well. It's inevitable that many large urban centers will soon be or are at capacity at their current waste disposal locations and perhaps will be someday seeking waste disposal locations to dispose of their waste due to an inability to open a new location. This would potentially put our waste disposal site on the radar as a location to ship their waste to. After hearing many discussions as well as taking part in some of the discussions at the Good Roads Conference with other municipalities, this is most definitely a strong possibility that smaller municipalities with healthy landfill capacities will be approached by larger urban centers. In my opinion, as well as other municipality opinions, definitely not something that we want to entertain. There are huge costs involved with running a waste disposal site. My original notice of motion had indicated only receiving landfill waste from our neighboring municipalities in North Hastings, but I would be open to perhaps taking anybody that's in Hastings County, but not outside of that. We would be helping our neighbors. This would have to come at a hefty price, as we know the cost of operating a landfill as well as the closing cost of a landfill.
Thank you. I'll open this up to Councillor Lawrence.
I am in favor of the resolution. It does preserve our existing arrangement with Wollaston, and it strengthens the ties with other North Hastings municipalities. Although I'm a little bit up in the air about accepting waste from Tweed, Madoc, and Marmora. They might overwhelm our ability to accept it. So maybe North Hastings, I don't know. But in general, for it.
Councillor Miles.
I'm not sure how I feel about it. I do think that there needs to be more clarity around what is North Hastings. There's no region, there's no description, there's no county, there's no nothing. So I think that leaves something open to interpretation. So I think if we're going to have a bylaw, then we would say we don't want to accept garbage from Tweed, or we are willing to accept garbage from, sort of actually naming where we're willing to take it from. Or maybe we consider more as a range or a region. If I think about where Cardiff sits, and they're a completely different county, but maybe there's a real benefit from getting garbage from Cardiff to come here, or how close Renfrew is. So I am a fan of preserving our dump for as long as we can, but I am a massive fan of finding a way to generate revenue. And when I think about what servicing $300,000 worth of debt for a new building, if one municipality said, we would pay you $300,000 to bring the waste there, and we have a 20-year contract, probably 20 years equates into 30 or 35 years of life expectancy part of the waste system, but we generate opportunities to be creative, to have other projects within our municipality. So Those are my only issues with it, is that I don't want to cut off our nose to spite our face when we have something that can generate really good revenue. And I think if we are going to pass it, some type of an amendment that is clear to who you're really willing to take garbage from, because North Hastings means nothing, except to us. It's just it's a place in our minds and our hearts. It's not actual geography. So,
Yep.
Thank you.
I just wanted to see if Wayne had a comment because I missed him when he's back there. Yes, Councillor Wiggins.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I agree that we have to really protect our dump, but it's a great asset. We all know we're financially strained. And I think as it behooves us to look at all avenues of possible revenue. But at the same time, every individual case should be looked at very, very closely, even with having the environment group in, the Greenview or whatever, to have to give us a total cost of effect. And I think in priority wise, we will definitely in the long run have to help our neighbors. But reaching out further, or somebody reaching in, I think we should be able to look at it very, very closely without denying it before it starts.
Thank you. Councillor Mullet. That's you.
I'd like to Lord. I agree that we need to look at our landfill site and preserve it as much as we can. I'm assuming this came because of the letter from Toronto.
This just came because we were just talking about it at our, at Good Roads, and it's just been
Oh.
something that I've been thinking about, and other municipalities were kind of in the same mindset. And just, hey, in the past, we've had constituents that were very concerned about the possibility of that happening.
Mhm. So I think I would, I don't mind taking refuge from our surrounding municipalities, but I agree with Councillor Miles. We need to we can't say North Hastings. We have to say from whom perhaps. And we're making the assumption that they may wish to come here. They may wish to go someplace else as well. But I think we would have to do our due diligence within the application that, that comes to council. So council would, whoever the council is, they should be doing the due diligence. So that would be my, I would just say, not particularly amendment, but that
Yeah.
was.
So my thought on this is, and I'm going to echo what Councillor Wiggins said here, is that I think two things. Number one, we should look on this on a case by case basis. Okay. We've already had the one for Toronto came and we said no. So we've already done one of those. The other thing as well is that from the presentation from Greenview, I took from him that he's only expecting this capacity to grow because of changes in technology that are coming, with respect to it. So, and I'm going to echo on a comment from Councillor Miles here. We have an asset, as Tyler said, we're a unicorn. Nobody has this capacity. So I think we would be remiss that by not, I think we need to look at this in more detail. Do we have an objective? Should our waste site be revenue neutral? Should that be our objective, that we let out enough capacity to make it revenue neutral? Do we look at it from the point of view of saying not who we're going to take or what we're going to take, that we would not exceed X amount of waste in total so that our capacity would never go below, a particular number? So I do believe, and this has been on my radar for a while, is I think we need to have a little more scientific look at this and to come up with some different parameters. The concept is there. I do not disagree with the concept whatsoever. You don't want to open up. And I think, as I said, we've already negated one, which would have been a very large one. And the next council can change whatever we do as well. So I think if we had a more sort of scientific, numerical based program that we could put in place, I think it might hold the test of time, as opposed to just saying we won't accept it from, you make a great point. we got a neighbor that's closer to us than other municipalities in North Hastings, and yeah, and I think we seriously have to look at the revenue aspect of this waste site because we have very few revenue generating opportunities, but that has to be in tandem with some type of criteria, et cetera. So I would be more than happy to take this and continue with discussions that I've had and try to get something to be brought back that maybe looks at this the same spirit, but maybe from some different objectives or criteria to go about this. But I think to date, this council has either accepted or turned down based on an individual scenario, which, so I think there's enough points here all around. I just don't think this would stand the test of time, and I think we have a better chance of preserving the landfill in some sort of rational way while generating revenue if we maybe came back with something that's a little more scientific based as opposed to just qualitative. So I appreciate the spirit of it, but really don't support it in its present manner. Yes.
No, it doesn't give numbers, but if I was to amend it and list the ones that we would be willing.
I don't think that would actually do it at this time. I think we need to deal with staff on this. They've been doing a lot of work on this as well. And let's see what we can bring back to the table. We don't have anything before us right now, so it's not like this is a panic, but I think we could bring back a number that says we would let out 20 years or 30 years or 10 years and see what that means as far as tonnage and everything else goes, et cetera. So I just think it requires a bit more of a detailed and analytical look at it. Councillor Lawrence, you want to speak?
So procedurally, can we bring back the same resolution after consultation with staff as part of the same resolution?
You could maybe, pardon me? Yeah, you could defer this for further study,
Okay.
which would leave it alive in that manner. So if somebody wants to make an amendment, to that, it leaves the intent there, and then we'll take it from there.
I'd be willing to amend that.
Okay, to defer it for further.
Right.
That works for you? Okay, we have one seconder. Well, let's ask the mover. Yes, okay. All in favor, please. Thank you. Okay. Okay, item 15, notice of motion. Per the provincial bylaw 77, I'm repeating what was before, 23S15, a notice of motion may be introduced at a public meeting of council, but shall not be debated. Shall be recorded on the following regular meeting of council with a notation second reading. At the second reading, it may be debated, moved, and seconded. So the next two follow that. These are just two as notice of motion. And Councillor McGibbon, I will give you the floor to.
First motion, whereas on April 9th,
Mike,
Mike, sorry, I'll get technical here. Whereas on April 9th, 2025, the Ontario Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing announced the expansion of strong mayor's powers to 169 additional municipalities, including the town of Bancroft, as a strong mayor community, granting enhanced powers to the mayor effective May 1st, 2025. And whereas the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft adopts in part and modifies the resolution passed by the Town of Goderich. And whereas the strong mayor's powers has raised significant concerns regarding the centralization of power, reduced accountability, alters the balance of government at the municipal level by ultimately undermining the role of council and decision-making by weakening the fundamental democratic principle of majority rule, diminishes the role of elected municipal councillors in representing the diverse interests of the community and the potential for the abuse of power. And whereas the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft has accountable local governance built upon a foundation of council debate and shared decision-making. And whereas strong mayor powers would have the effect of fundamentally altering the historic model of local governance, which has existed for almost 2 centuries. And whereas the province is undermining the local governance model and municipal independence of attempting to advance its priorities through municipalities downloading its responsibilities to the same. And whereas municipal elected officials across the province and members of the public have expressed significant concerns regarding the negative impacts on public trust, democratic participation, and municipal decision-making processes if mayors are granted the ability to pass council decisions without adequate consultation or oversight. And whereas the corporation of the town of Bancroft did not formally request or express a desire to be designated under the strong mayor's framework. And whereas a growing number of municipalities and elected officials across the province of Ontario are questioning the appropriateness of a strong mayor system and are calling for its consideration or reconsideration or repeal. Now therefore be it resolved, the council of the corporation of the town of Bancroft formally express its opposition to the Ontario government's implementation of strong mayor powers and will not exercise these powers in order to preserve local democracy, transparency, and accountability. And further that the council of the corporation of the town of Bancroft requests the Premier of Ontario and the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing immediately remove the town of Bancroft from the list of municipalities designated under strong mayor's legislation. And further that the corporation of the town of Bancroft encourages advocacy for democratic principles and for municipal governance systems that prioritize collaboration, inclusivity, and democratic engagement. Be it resolved that a copy of this motion, further be it resolved that a copy of this motion be forwarded to the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honourable Rob Flack, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Rick Breesy, MPP for Hastings, Lennox and Addington, the Honourable Lisa Thompson, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, all Ontario municipalities, as well as the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the Association of Municipal Managers, Clerks and Treasurers of Ontario for their awareness and support. There we go.
Okay, item B, first reading, public participation in budget process. Floor is yours.
Notice of motion. Be it resolved that whereas the town of Bancroft annual budget town hall meeting is typically held in the evening during business hours when it's typically
In the afternoon.
Yeah, afternoon, sorry. Business hours when it is apparently difficult for taxpayers to attend the meeting. And whereas it is the public's perception that the meetings are not well advertised and there's a lack of transparency on council's part. And whereas it is also the public's perception that it is not council's wish to have our taxpayers in attendance and be provided an opportunity to ask questions of a general nature or questions related to the capital or operating budgets. And whereas there is obvious interest from taxpayers to be well informed of the meeting and have the opportunity to participate, have their questions answered, and their concerns addressed. And whereas research indicates that annual budget town hall meetings held in the evenings can be expensive to host and typically are not well attended in other municipalities. Therefore, be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the town of Bancroft adopt or develop a new policy and process which would better advertise, encourage, and provide more opportunity for taxpayer participation by choosing one of the 2 options listed below, and if needed, adjust our procedural bylaw to accommodate the new process and policy, with option A being recommended as the most optimal option. So option A, we present 2 or 3 meetings of operating budget, depending on what council decides, in a public meeting recorded to YouTube. The first meeting is always a special meeting only for budget where all departments present individually. This is so part of option A. Number 2, public consultation through our website platform would be Have Your Say Bancroft, which is advertised in social media and print medias. We receive comments up to so many days prior to the meeting, to the next reading of the budget with council. And then step 3 of that would be all questions, comments received are published in the agenda for council consideration. Option B, encourage taxpayer attendance by hosting a well-advertised annual budget town hall meeting in the evening and not during business hours, where taxpayers have an opportunity to email their questions, which are of a general nature or related to the capital and operating budgets, to the town of Bancroft X number of days prior to the meeting. The answers to the questions or comments received would be published and presented at the annual budget town hall meeting with the opportunity for further questions on the spot at the discretion of the chair.
Thank you.
Thanks, Val.
Item 16, consent agenda. Approval of the consent agenda. Be it resolved that the items listed under the consent agenda, items 17B to 17E, be received by the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft for information. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Lawrence, and a seconded by Councillor Miles. Is there anything there that anybody would like to chat about on the consent agenda? It's a rather short one this time. Okay, seeing that, all in favor, please. Thank you. Community announcements event. Does anybody have any community announcement that they would like? Councillor McGibbon.
Do have something. So 1996, we had the Bancroft T-Hawks form a team here in Bancroft, and it's been established for almost 30 years now. They are part of the, what is it called? Seahawks? Football league or Quinte out of Belleville. And recently, without anything leading up to it, received a letter from the commissioner to our head coach, Lance Conlon, letting them know that they were now being suspended for the balance of this year as well as the remaining 2 years. So they are struggling with this. They have not received any, they did ask for evidence or what was the reasoning behind it. And as of yet, there wasn't really any evidence produced, just allegations. Conversations with the commissioner and our head coach, Lance Conlon, have been positive all along. They're saying that there was a history of problems, as where, you know, our coach has talked to him on a regular basis. Things have been great, never anything negative, and then all of a sudden they receive that. So they are asking for our council as well as surrounding municipalities to write a letter of support to the Quinte Seahawk as well as Football Ontario. Just they've been pretty incredible for our kids in our community for the last 30 years. And I know it's been life-changing for a lot of kids. So I would hate to see them not have anywhere to go or be suspended on what doesn't appear to be anything that's legit. So
Do they have a template for this letter? Do they have?
I can reach out.
I think it would probably be good, you know, to have them provide what they would like us to say on that letter. We can alter it, but just so we have the general.
They just haven't received anything to date that is really like the football club league hasn't even followed their own policies and procedures as to how they suspend a team. Just all of a sudden out of nowhere came suspension. So yeah, so whatever we can do to promote them, that'd be great.
Great. Anything else in the world
Paul?
of events? Yes,
Paul?
Wayne. Yes, Wayne.
I can
Yes,
comment
Councillor.
on that. I fully support the local football team. However, I think what we should in that letter ask is if we could find out more clarification, or they could, as to what actually transpired.
Right.
To issue such a 3-year suspension for the children. Like I just can't imagine what would have happened in a short period of time that would have led to that type of suspension. Normally, if it's an eligible child or whatever, the coach or the manager would be suspended, not the whole team. So I think we're all in the dark, or at least I am, as to what happened. So I think it behooves us to act on their behalf and find out what did happen and what we can do to help them.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Anybody else with, yes, Councillor Eastman.
I guess it's sort of a community announcement, but today in the mail is the E360 recycling guidelines.
Yes, actually, very good point. And actually, there's been posts on Facebook as well.
Yep.
On the E360 saying that the recycling days will be Tuesdays and Thursdays. I think the only thing, and maybe it's better in there, that wasn't clear on the Facebook post is that the town of Bancroft is not involved in this, you know. And just as we have been saying for a long time, it's completely out of our hands. If you go to the Facebook post or their website, it actually nice drawings of what you can put in your containers, in your bins. There you go. And yeah, that's online as well. So yeah, It's interesting because some of the things, I went looking for styrofoam. It's not on there, but we are allowed, but right now we take styrofoam, so there will be some adjustment. And of course, in tandem with that, and there is a sign down at the waste site now that as of July 1st, there's no residential recycling accepted at the waste site, again, because we're not handling that program anymore. And then, of course, we dealt with today the plan to handle the IC&I, industrial, commercial, institutional, an option for the business community here as well. So I tried to explain to somebody today who's going to have a depot, why they're going to have a depot, why we're not having a depot. And they just turned to me and said, this is so confusing. And I said, yeah, yes, it is, because depots will exist in our neighboring municipalities because that's what they had. They didn't have curbside, so their only source was a depot. We had curbside and a depot. We could have retained our depot until the end of the year, but as we stated in our one of our last meetings, that would not have given us time to prepare a system, which is obviously any new system is going to have questions. And when people arrive at the waste site, I don't think people want to be standing outside in 30 below zero trying to figure out what to do. So that's why we wanted to introduce it as of now. Plus the fact that it was made very unattractive because they would have used our equipment at virtually some very minimal cost, and we would have still been responsible for it. So that was all part of the opt-in, opt-out. We opted out, and we opted out a long time ago. So it wasn't that we could pick and choose how we did it. So by opting out, they're taking over the curbside, and we will not have a depot. They are still required to provide us with a depot until the end of the year, but we have no idea where that might be. So we have heard nothing else on that. So very interesting. I think we've been talking about this for a couple of years now, about it coming and coming and coming. So Councillor Mullet.
Just one question. You mentioned there are signs up at the landfill. Are they at the landfill or out there by the highway? I wonder.
It's right at the landfill. Great big sign when you drive in, telling people right now who are going that as of July 1st, you cannot bring your recycling here any longer. So we felt it was just to educate them in advance. And then we've also requested some signs to educate people on the bag tag, like to notify them on the bag tags so they're not questioning our staff down at the landfill, and also on the new IC&I program. I think signage is great. Explain things to people on the sign. Saves a lot of staff time. Yes, Councillor Eastman.
I assume, Mayor, that the town of Bancroft will still operate their hazardous waste dates. We just had one last Saturday.
Yeah, yes, I think that's
Yeah.
totally separate.
Good,
Yes.
good.
Yeah. Councillor McGill.
I wasn't there, but my sister-in-law was at the shop. So the E360 has gone down around to our local businesses and communicated to them that they are available.
Okay.
Hire, basically, I guess. So
Yeah.
one recommendation they did make was that they're finding that some of the smaller ones are all grouping together and then having one spot where they can pick it up.
So it's curious that E360 would be going to the businesses because they're not going to be collecting business recycling.
Well, they dropped a card off.
Isn't that interesting? So,
Yes.
yeah, because they've been quite clear that this is on the whole provincial program, that IC&I is not, it's an ineligible source. So your guess is as good as mine.
Yes, they thought my cake shop was a business or a resident,
Yeah.
Nope, but they did drop a card off. So I'll touch base with them.
Yeah. Did you read what was on the card?
No, I didn't get a chance to. It just had a name and phone number and the company name, and that's it.
Yeah, we'll be very curious to see. Yeah, I'm not surprised of any twists and turns that might happen here. So anyway, okay, let me just get back online again here. Sorry. Okay, bylaws, first, second, and third reading. Be it resolved that the following bylaws be introduced and read a first, second, and third time to be finally passed, and that the mayor and clerk do sign and seal the same. Any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding. bylaw number 38, 2025, a bylaw to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw number 27-2006 as amended. Bylaw number 39, 2025, being a bylaw to authorize the corporation of town of Bancroft to enter, okay, where did it go here? Give me a sec, please. To enter into agreement with His Majesty the King and the right of the province of Ontario as represented by the Minister of Transportation. Bylaw number 40, 2025, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 11-2025, being a bylaw to govern the management and operation of the Bancroft Business Improvement Area. Bylaw number 41, 2025, being a bylaw to establish a levy upon rateable property in a Bancroft Business Improvement Area in the town of Bancroft. And bylaw 42, 2025, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 87, 2021, being a bylaw to adopt a tipping fee schedule for the Dungannon waste site for the town of Bancroft. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please, Councillor Lawrence?
Motion. I'll put them on the floor, but can I comment on one or is it too late?
Nope. As soon as we put it on the floor, you can do that. So
Okay.
Councillor Mullet, second it. What's your question?
My concern is F, the tipping fees at the dump.
Hang on a sec. Okay. Yes.
I believe that this is, I do not agree with them being as high as they are and the things they're charging for.
So this is
again.
This pertains, we've already passed the tipping fee bylaw. This is the amendment for the IC&I portion that we mentioned to set up the program.
Okay, sorry. All right.
Yeah, that's okay. I think you were just testing us. Okay.
No, I wasn't. I'm getting
okay.
lots of complaints about the other.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All in favor, please. So passed. Thank you. We are having closed session of council, move into closed session, be it resolved, the council of the corporation of the town of Bancroft is hereby moved into closed session pursuant to the Municipal Act SO 2001, section 239 2B, personal matters of an identifiable individual, including municipal employees. F, advice that is subject to solicitor client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. And K, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, instruction to be applied to negotiations, general nature, Fair Day Waste Management Board, and property standard issue. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Lawrence and Councillor McGibbon, all in favor, please? Thank you. We will take a 10-minute break and then move into close. Okay. I'm ready to go when. We off. Recording will stop.